The homeless woman was shivering beneath a broken streetlight when the single dad stopped his car and noticed something no one else seemed to see. She had no coat, no suitcase, and barely enough strength to stand. Everyone passing by ignored her, but when the woman collapsed beside a cardboard box, the single dad pulled over, wrapped his daughter's spare blanket around her shoulders, and made a decision that would change his life forever. He took her home without knowing her name, her past, or the shocking secret she had been hiding. Daniel had learned not to expect life to be easy. At 38, he was raising his 8-year-old daughter, Lily, alone in a small rented house on the edge of town. He worked long shifts at a warehouse, came home exhausted, cooked simple dinners, helped Lily with homework, and somehow found enough energy every night to tuck her into bed. Money was always tight. Some weeks, Daniel had to choose between paying an unexpected bill and buying groceries, but he never allowed Lily to see how frightened he sometimes felt. His wife had passed away 3 years earlier, leaving behind a little girl who still kept her mother's photograph beside her bed and a father who had quietly promised to give her the safest childhood he could. That rainy evening, Daniel was driving home with Lily asleep in the back seat when he noticed the woman near the closed bus station. She looked exhausted, her hair soaked from the rain, her hands trembling as she tried to protect herself with a torn piece of cardboard. Daniel almost kept driving. He had only enough money in his account to make it through the week, and his house had one spare room filled with old boxes. Bringing a stranger home was risky. But then Lily woke up, looked through the window, and asked why the woman was sitting outside in the cold. Daniel had no good answer. He turned the car around. When Daniel approached, the woman looked terrified. She seemed to expect him to tell her to leave. Instead, he offered her the blanket from the back seat and told her she could have a warm meal at his house. She hesitated for a long time before finally accepting. Daniel did not ask for money, identification, or an explanation. He simply told her that nobody deserved to sleep outside in the rain. The woman introduced herself only as Emily and quietly followed him into the car. At home, Lily immediately brought Emily a pair of warm socks and insisted that she take her mother's old sweater because it was warmer than anything else they had. Daniel prepared the last of the chicken soup in the refrigerator, pretending he wasn't worried about what his family would eat tomorrow. Emily ate slowly, almost as if she had forgotten what a home-cooked meal felt like. Her eyes filled with tears when Lily placed a small plate of cookies beside her. For the first time that night, the frightened woman smiled. Before you continue, if you believe kindness can give someone a second chance when the world has already turned its back on them, please like this video, share it with someone who needs a little hope, and subscribe to SoulTales. Your support helps us bring more emotional stories of kindness, family, and unexpected second chances. That night, Daniel gave Emily the spare bedroom and told her she could stay until she figured things out. He never imagined that decision would put him in the middle of a mystery. Emily seemed ordinary, but there were strange things about her. She knew how to speak about expensive hotels, international businesses, and financial markets with the confidence of someone who had lived around them. Yet she also seemed deeply uncomfortable whenever Daniel asked about her past. When he gently asked if she had family, she simply looked away and said that sometimes people lose everything long before they lose their money. Daniel assumed she was speaking about someone else. The next morning, Daniel woke early to prepare Lily for school. He walked toward the kitchen and froze when he saw 2 black luxury SUVs parked outside his tiny house. Several professionally dressed people stood beside them, looking worried. One man noticed Daniel and immediately rushed toward the door. Daniel instinctively stepped in front of Lily, wondering if he had somehow brought danger into his home. Then Emily appeared behind him. But she no longer looked like the exhausted homeless woman from the night before. She wore a simple borrowed sweater, yet the people outside treated her with extraordinary respect. The man standing closest to the door lowered his head and called her Ms. Carter. Daniel stared in confusion as another man handed her a phone. Within seconds, the entire mystery began to unfold. Emily Carter was not homeless. She was one of the youngest self-made billionaires in the country, the founder of a global technology and investment company worth billions of dollars. She had disappeared from public view 3 days earlier after a private security incident and had intentionally avoided contacting her staff while trying to understand who inside her organization had betrayed her. Without her usual security team, expensive clothing, jewelry, or identification, nobody recognized her. Daniel looked at her in disbelief. The woman he had brought home because he thought she had nowhere to go was one of the wealthiest women in the world. But the biggest surprise was still coming. Emily told Daniel that she had watched him from the moment he stopped his car. She had seen him hesitate, knowing he had little money himself. She had watched him give her the blanket meant for his daughter. She had seen him prepare food from an almost empty refrigerator without asking who she was. And most importantly, she had realized that he had helped her without knowing there was anything to gain. Daniel expected her to offer him money. Instead, Emily asked him why he had done it. Daniel simply explained that his daughter had asked him what he would want someone to do if he were ever the one sitting alone in the rain. That answer broke something inside Emily. She admitted that she had spent years surrounded by people who wanted something from her. Employees wanted promotions. Investors wanted profits. Strangers wanted access to her wealth. Even people who called themselves friends often measured her worth by what she could give them. But Daniel had given her a blanket, a meal, and a safe place to sleep when he believed she had nothing. For the first time in years, she had experienced kindness without a price attached. Emily offered Daniel enough money to pay his debts, buy a house, and never worry about another bill. Daniel thanked her but refused the fortune. He told her that helping someone in trouble was not supposed to become a business transaction. If she truly wanted to help, he asked her to remember the people who had nobody when she returned to her world. Emily never forgot those words. Over the following months, she began changing the way her company operated. She created emergency housing programs for struggling families, funded shelters for women and children, and established scholarships for single parents trying to rebuild their lives. But she also continued visiting Daniel and Lily, not as a billionaire rewarding a poor man, but as a woman who had finally found people who treated her like a human being. Daniel's life changed too. He eventually accepted one offer from Emily, not a personal fortune, but a position managing a new foundation dedicated to helping families in crisis. He was able to provide Lily with a stable home, but the greatest gift was something money could never buy. He had shown his daughter that kindness mattered even when nobody was watching. One evening, months after that rainy night, Lily sat beside Emily on the porch and asked her why she had chosen to come back after everyone discovered who she really was. Emily smiled and looked at Daniel. She said that the night she met them, she believed she had lost everything. But Daniel had shown her that sometimes losing the world around you is how you discover who actually sees you. Daniel looked at his daughter, then at Emily, and realized something beautiful. He had thought he was rescuing a homeless woman that night. In reality, he had rescued someone who had billions of dollars but desperately needed to feel human again. If this story touched your heart, please take a moment to like the video, share it with someone who believes kindness still matters, and subscribe to SoulTales for more stories about love, family, hope, and second chances. And before the story ends, I have one special request. Comment, "Kindness still matters," if you believe that one small act of compassion can change someone's entire life. Because sometimes, the person standing in front of us may look like they have nothing. Sometimes, they may be the person the whole world has forgotten. And sometimes, the greatest reward for kindness is not money, fame, or success. Sometimes, it is simply knowing that when someone needed help, you chose not to walk away.